One and thank you for attending. We have a very perfect topic for today in the fact that we're all thinking about the future of human capital, the future of work, and we're with some hope and the fact that we might get past at some time we might get past the COVID experience. I have my card, so I know that I feel good about that. I just worry about the variants and but at this point, I'm a card carrying person about my COVID experience. So today we have a wonderful panel. And before I get into the panel, though, I do want to not only welcome our members who are getting on board, but welcome the guests that we have invited to join us today. I would ask that if you're interested and you enjoy this event, feel free to reach out to us about how to join. And we look forward to seeing you at future events. For those who are regular to this is we're calling this the CXO exchange because we are changing, and as times have changed, this is probably about, we're going to talk a lot about this today, and the fact that our world is now about the CXOs, not just the CIOs, but it's about organizations, CMOs, CDOs, CTOs that work with CIOs and want to know more about IT, and we hope to provide that kind of experience for people and our members of the future. So we're looking at how we keep modernizing and innovate at UCLA. With that said, though, I would like to also ask all of you to, if you could, keep yourself muted until, except the panelists, of course, and and if you have a question to ask, raise your hand. You can do that with the icon at depending on the type of computer you have, at the bottom of the screen. And you're welcome to ask a question physically on the event. You can, we'll highlight you and you can ask any question you like. We like this to be as interactive as possible. We, again, thank you for coming. With that said, though, we would like to get to our panelists. We have a very exciting panel of leaders who I think will provide a very interesting view of where we're going in the future of human capital, the future of work, the workforce of the future, whatever you name it to be. And so I'd like to start with introductions. For those who don't know me, I'm Jim Rinaldi. I'm the Executive Director of Innovate at UCLA. And I also, being the moderator of this panel, am very pleased to introduce our panelists. We have Mary Kay Evans, who is the CMO for Pymetrics, and she'll describe what they do, but it's a very interesting way of looking at talent and screening talent. We have Kim Blue. Kim, do you go by Kim Blue? Is it Kim Blue Terrell?
Kim Blue is fine.
Kim Blue from Zoom, which is, almost, we're on Zoom, thank goodness. I'm just so happy we're not on Teams trying to talk about Zoom. So I feel good about that. And also we have Jamie Town, who is the managing director of, and I think it's talent acquisition. Is that right, Jamie? Or talent
management.
Talent management, thank you. And of Slalom Corporation. That Slalom is a member of Innovate at UCLA. And so we welcome all three of you to our event. And I would ask each one of you, I'm going to ask this question, but I would ask each one of you to say a little bit about yourself and your background as we start. So, but the question I'm going to ask, I would ask you just while you're introducing yourself to also say, we're just coming out, hopefully, of a pandemic. Everybody's gone through some form of transformation. We have a majority or a lot, major portions of workforce working from home. In your view, from your company's view, from your view, what is the future of human capital? Are we going to continue this kind of mode of working? Do you see it hybrid? Do you see it all coming back? And and I'll start with my screen. Jamie, I'll start with you, and then we'll go Mary, and then to Kim.
Great, thanks, Jim. So Jamie Town from Solom Consulting, based in Seattle, and really looking forward to having a lively, fun conversation with all of you. Slalom is a modern consulting firm focused on strategy, technology, and business transformation. We have just over 9,000 employees, and I've been there 10 years. I started, there were 1,100 people. Started on the consulting side. Most of my time there has been internally focused on talent management, leadership development, learning development, career development, team development, all the developments, and really looking at the employee experience. When I think about the future, Jim, to your question, one thing's for sure, we're not going to, quote, go back to normal. Or to the way it was. I think, we like to throw around the term hybrid, and maybe that's a good way to put it. But I think we're going to reevaluate what the boundaries are within the employee experience in all different facets, not just location, but really trying to think holistically of what it means to have a personalized and flexible employee experience.
Now, Jamie, since you're with Slalom, I mean, Slalom's works from anywhere anyway, right? So was this still a big change, or was it almost business as normal?
Yeah, it was a change in a few different ways. So one unique aspect of Slalom, we're a consulting firm, but we have a local model. So if you are living in LA and a consultant in LA, you're going to be working with LA-based clients. And so although there's some people who travel, most of our consultants and our leaders are in person and co-located. And that's part of the special sauce of Slalom, is you're working with consultants who and vice versa, working with clients who you may be standing on the sideline of your child's soccer game with, or bump into at the grocery store. And so there are unique elements to that local model. So we definitely felt that change when we went completely virtual, both from a client connection perspective, but also Slalom is a very social company, and probably many of you are at similar companies where, you could basically, there'd be some kind of event just about every night, and lots of opportunities to socialize and connect with other people. And I think in particular, because during the day we're spread out across client sites, anytime there's a Slalom event where we can come together, those are really treasured moments. And we have some unique and fun events. So it definitely gave us an opportunity to revisit how do you build that connection. So similar to what many of you experience, or a lot of virtual happy hours, done virtual charades and baby showers, and lots of opportunities to get creative and think about how do we use technology in a way to not just enable connection, but to enhance connection, and to try and preserve what's special about our culture.
That's great. Thank you, Jamie. Mary Kay, Pymetrics, you've been with them for a while, and you're with a very innovative startup, if I recall. It was a startup.
That's right. Yeah. Thanks, Jim. Yeah, I'm the CMO for a startup called Pymetrics. And what Pymetrics does is we are a talent matching platform that focuses on soft skills. So what are soft skills? It's your inherent cognitive, emotional, and your social attributes that just kind of make you who you are. And when you look at soft skills, you're not just looking at a person's past, which is their resume, right? So using soft skills assessments and coupling that with cutting edge technology that, we're seeing across the human capital management space, of artificial intelligence and machine learning. We are helping companies, bring in the right people for the right job. And COVID has accelerated this in every way you can imagine. I haven't been with Pymetrics actually very long. I joined just 7 months ago or so. Feels like years, but it's been about 6, 7 months. And so my answer on how, what we think the future of work looks like, look, I think my story is not unique. I've spent my career helping technology businesses get off the ground, bring products to market, and many times they were very early to market. And so I don't think of myself as your traditional CMO. I mean, when you're working with early stage companies, you're really thinking about how an industry is going to be disrupted. I ended up at Verizon and spent 7 years there helping put together a digital media business. And because of COVID, I was able to kind of, follow my dreams and jump into a role with Pymetrics, who's based in New York. They had a very must be in the office culture. And I'm in Manhattan Beach, California. So I was not in a big hurry to move to Manhattan. I have kids in school as well. So it was a non-starter for me. Like, I was so passionate about their business, but my life was not in a place I could just pick up and move to Manhattan. And so we're seeing that. I think it's a massive positive impact that COVID has brought to, the world. Like, there are so many people that have onboarded to companies in the past year and never met their employers in person. And, with it comes a whole bunch of challenges on its own. But at the same time, so many opportunities have been unlocked because of this virtual world that we've proven, we can make work.
You can, I don't think you are, has a problem with the fact that you're in Manhattan in either case. So you're covered. It's just, who would vote for Manhattan Beach over just Manhattan? I think you would win.
Well, yeah. I always said, look, I'm 4 miles from the airport. I can get where I need to go really quickly. And now I'm like, yeah, I don't really need to be 4 miles from an airport anymore. But it's a great place to be.
Those are
Thanks,
famous
Jim.
words in LA to be able to get. I don't know if you can get anywhere in LA quickly, but if you can, more power to you. Kim, Atlanta's an easy place to transverse. No traffic whatsoever, if I remember. But thanks to you, you are the new Google of video conferencing. I mean, everything is Zoom, no matter what the product is. Why don't you talk about yourself, your role, and what you see from a company that's helped us get through all this?
Absolutely. So thank you for having me. And hello, everyone. My name is Kim Blue, and I am the Global Head of People Experience Partners for Zoom. That's my very fancy title. In lay terms, what I do is I have the great pleasure of leading the HR business partner team, and I have responsibility for all of the global HR strategy for Zoom, which includes our reentry and future of work, right? So what that looks like. And so when I talk about ownership, I mean everything from the design of the strategy and the ideation all the way through execution, implementation, and then maintenance and sustainability, also known as change management. So I bring a lot of that to what Zoom is currently. They had, or I guess say we, right? We had an incredible 2020. There was such meteoric growth for Zoom last calendar year. And so what's very much been top of mind is sort of the what's next. And so you've watched Zoom very much be a global connector, literally allowing for us to do everything in a way that doesn't just get life, but it has very much been in a way that has sort of ushered us into the fourth, I think this is the fourth industrial revolution, so to speak, right? When we think about it, because we have literally tapped into this notion of necessity being the mother of invention. And I think in this case, it was creativity, right? And so instead of doing what we needed to do in ways that may not have served us, we looked at what was in front of us and said, well, how do we enhance this experience, right? How do we still have weddings? How do we still, attend baby showers? And how are we still making sure that we can live, work, and play safely and successfully and really not lose a beat? And Zoom's been very intentional about saying, what do we want that experience to be? And how do we ensure that our products have the right features? How are we listening to our customers? How are we really making every experience a demonstration of care, which is one of Zoom's values, but also ensuring that we are listening to our customers and really making sure that the world continues to move forward, right? Because we came to such a halt. And then we found a way to move forward, right? And it's been amazing watching that journey, right? Similar to Mary Kay, I've not been at Zoom very long. I am just shy of 6 months there, and have really spent a lot of time bringing a lot of my change management and leadership development and org development background into Zoom to help them navigate what this corner turn is going to look like for them as I say them, but us, right? As we think about what are the new products that are going to help connect us? What are the new ways that we're going to go from sort of being an app that everybody used to a platform that really helps integrate us and move us forward into the next phase of the future of work, right? In terms of what it looks like, I think it's a hybrid. I do think it's hybrid. I think it's an advancement of this bifurcation of work from home, but also work flexibly anywhere. And so what does that mean? It means if you want to go to the office because that serves the need of the organization, of the business, whatever that looks like, then you're going to be able to do that. And there's going to be parameters and tools and resources that are available to help move that forward, whether that's, I'll use Zoom Rooms as an example, which is an environment where everybody can gather and you can talk and you can have all of your conversations or meetings, and people can move in and out of the environment. It looks a little bit like this, right? And so it feels like you're kind of hanging out, but you're also being productive. Or, right, you can work from home and have all of the resources and set up there, and you're able to still manage your schedule, your personal life, whatever those effects look like. But ultimately, we are all in control of what that is. And so one of the mantras that Zoom has really stuck to is the way that we return to work will look nothing like the way that we left. And I think knowing that and being rooted in that value helps bring a little bit of mental peace as we look at embracing kind of what those unknowns are. And so that it leaves me in a really interesting space as I help bring in the foundations of our HR strategy and saying, well, how are we thinking about right people, right place? How are we thinking about infrastructure architecture? How are we fostering leadership success, right? Because we want to see our leaders still be successful, right? And then how are we ensuring that we're that change agent and customer advocate, right? For our internal customers, which are really our employees, as we call them, Zoomies. So that's really how we're thinking about it and how we're approaching it. Not rushing out there because we're Zoom and we kind of don't have to, right? But also being very intentional about saying we do at some point want to identify what's the best approach for us with the customers in mind first.
So I think you and Mary Kay have not been into your office, physical office?
That's correct. So I started 5.5 months ago, and my entire team, global and in the Americas, I have only interacted with over Zoom. I'm based in Atlanta, and there are about 200 other Zoomies in Atlanta. We've only communicated over Zoom chat. I've never seen any one of them in person. All of my leaders and my peers are all in San Jose. That's where Zoom is headquartered, but there are a fair amount of my peers who are also on the East Coast in New York. My team is all over. They are in California and Colorado. They're also in the Netherlands. And I am actually building a team right now on a continent that I don't know when I'm going to get to travel to. Now, I don't know any HR leader that is intent on building a team and not going there to actually see the people that they are bringing on board, but that is what I am doing right now. I am building a team in Singapore and I've never set foot there. So I'm literally learning about the country in real time. And it's forcing me to continue to evolve my leadership style, and my ability to say, well, how am I connecting the culture and the values, and doing so through the platform that I have, and still not foregoing the connection and the things that are important when you are onboarding somebody new. So it's been a very interesting journey so far.
I want to first pause for a second and remind people in the exchange here that you're welcome to raise your hand and ask questions if you have them, so don't hesitate to do so. I have help if I miss seeing you, so feel free to do so. And meanwhile, though, you raised an interesting question in the sense that, you know, I've never been to see the people of my company. I've only seen them on the screen. And how do you get the feel of the culture of a company when you don't get to necessarily mingle the way we're kind of used to mingling? Are we going to have to learn how to remingle differently? Is that going to be the new trend?
You know what? It's such a great question. And Mary Kay, I want you to chime in because we've been in the same boat. We've been on this sort of timeline with our organizations about the same time. But, you know, that's been the main question that I have received from both my industry peers, right? So other leaders of HR business partner teams or CPOs or CHROs, right? Who are in that same kind of circle. But also, so before I led a business partner team, I was a business partner, and I worked for Microsoft and ESPN. So I've had the pleasure of working for some really amazing organizations. And all of that was in person. So Zoom has been a very different experience for me. And so there's a level of intentionality I think you have to put into the way you show up. There's also a measure of vulnerability that comes with knowing that life is happening right over there. Right now, I'm focused and talking to you all right now, but what you can't hear is my 7-year-old singing himself to sleep in the bed with whatever book he's picked out, right? Because he knew mommy had a meeting. And so we did our thing and we negotiated the time. And he was like, I got it, mom. I can get myself together tonight, right? But it's being able to say that to you and knowing that you all are going to meet me where I am, no matter what. Yeah. And really being honest about it. And that vulnerability is the vehicle to connection, right? It is the way that you then can have a relatable moment with somebody else, you know, parent to parent or caregiver to caregiver or pet parent to pet parent or whatever's important to you or whatever's happening in your life. So I think that vulnerability is what's helped me be able to establish that connection, but also make it feel human, even though I can't physically reach out and be with you, or or even know when I'm going to get in the same space with you. I don't know, Mary Helen, if you feel the same way or have a perspective.
No, I mean, everything that popped in my head in the beginning was, you know, it's putting the human back into HR, frankly, and all the things that we do. And that's what COVID has done. This last year has been, leaders have to, it's a total change of leadership methodology. So you couldn't help but, you know, be humanized based on the things happening to all of your team members. And when you are in their homes, it is part of your interaction. It just is. It's so much easier to compartmentalize your life and whatever might be going on inside your life when you're walking into an office. It's kind of that glass wall, right? And you just don't carry it in, especially in a leadership role. You're expected not to in so many ways, right? And I think that we have all become more human, and you have to be more understanding. I went through two very different scenarios when COVID began. I was right in the middle of merging two marketing teams from different entities in Verizon. They didn't know each other and bring them together. That's like a super hard thing to do. Yes, no matter. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, and by the way, you're going to be all virtual. So hello, okay, that's going to be rough. So it was a matter of like merging teams and getting people to let down their guard. Like, you know, that's a threatening situation in so many ways. Who are these people? Why are they merging with us? What's going on? What's going to happen to my job? And all the things that people worry about, right? And you have to like unpack that and make it a safe space. So the first week of lockdown was that for me in the Verizon world. And then fast forward 6 months later, I'm onboarding to a company where no, I've never walked into their office space. and I have to create trust with a new team. And that's really what you're talking about, Kim, is creating a level of trust that really that is the foundation for me for high performing teams. When you trust each other, you can accomplish just about anything as a team. And how do you do that over virtual screen? And I would just say it comes back to where I began, and it's all about actually being human and sharing that moment. Like, yes, now I know Kim. I actually feel like I know Kim because she just told me about her son, and now I can put a lot of cards in place. Like, I get it, right? So it's just being human.
So let me ask, Jamie and others, feel free to weigh in. The workforce is also changing in terms of demographics, in terms of, age. Quite frankly, I'm a baby boomer, and, we're going to go away, sometimes fighting, because, I do believe that ageism is real. Now I do. And I'm just wondering, with the change in the workforce, the change in how we work, are people prepared for this? And if they're not prepared, how do we prepare them?
Big question. Interesting, because it's not a new question. We've been talking about this for a long time, since the millennials were just creeping into the marketplace, right? And at Slalom, our median age now is, I want to say, 33, 34. And as a Gen Xer, I'm already thinking, I'm the millennials and the Z generation are rapidly approaching and taking over. So I don't know that, I think some companies are more prepared than others. I think some people are more prepared than others. It's not a new challenge. I think it's new for several of us who are now in a different camp. And, ageism feels different now than it probably did, a few years ago. And with the rate of technology changing as quickly as it does, I think that accentuates, where there are, pros and cons to having a diverse workforce. But ultimately, if we talk about diversity and inclusion, and that isn't just about gender, ethnicity, etc. Part of that is about, and it's not just about age either, or generations, but it's about the way that you think and that you approach things. And so how do we create organizations and cultures that are truly multi-generational and are inclusive, and kind of reap the benefits of having the millennials and the Gen Z and people who were raised on technology and mobile platforms, and how do you also reap the benefit of the Xers and the boomers, because we all bring value. And so I think that's been a shift, where for a while it was really about, okay, how do we welcome in millennials? How do we cater to millennials? And we really shift to, like, how do we create that truly inclusive environment, and recognize that all generations bring value in one way, shape, or form.
I'm getting a wave of chats about baby boomers, and that I'm a baby boomer, but I have a millennial attitude. And Jamie just made me feel like millennials are the old group now. To, I think, an awesome panel of leaders who have given us some tremendous insights. I also want to thank Rafi Simonian for the work he's done to help put this together, Heather Felix, Erica Knowlton-Young, and the programming committee for pulling this together. And thank you all for being here. And with that, I would say have a great evening, and watch out for the robots in the future. Good night, everyone.